What if I told you that while you're watching this video, criminal organizations are moving billions of dollars across borders? They're infiltrating legitimate businesses, corrupting government officials, and operating with a level of sophistication that would make Fortune 500 companies jealous. This isn't Hollywood fiction. This is reality. Today, we're diving deep into the shadowy world of organized crime. We'll explore how these criminal syndicates actually function, how they've evolved over decades, and why understanding them matters more now than ever before. By the end of this video, you'll see the world differently. You'll understand the invisible networks operating beneath the surface of everyday life. So, if you're ready to pull back the curtain on one of humanity's most persistent phenomena, hit that subscribe button and let's begin this journey together.
Let's start with a fundamental question. What exactly is organized crime? It's not just a group of criminals working together. That's too simple. Organized crime represents something much more sophisticated. It's a nationwide illicit cartel and confederation. These organizations are dedicated to amassing millions of dollars through various illegal activities. We're talking about usury, illegal gambling, narcotics trafficking, and much more. But here's what makes them truly dangerous. The vast profits they acquire aren't just sitting in warehouses somewhere. They're being invested in legitimate enterprises. They're penetrating both the business sphere and the government sphere. When criminal syndicates start to undermine basic economic and political traditions, that's when real trouble begins. And that trouble has already begun. Think about it this way. It's one thing to make money through illegal gambling, but it's entirely different to achieve business monopoly through violence and intimidation. It's one thing to amass a fortune through loan sharking, but it's another thing to bribe government officials for construction contracts. These criminals don't just break laws, they corrupt the very systems designed to maintain order. They demand a share of legitimate profits from honest businesses. The butcher, the baker, even doctors and bankers become their targets. Although organized criminals don't yet control all legitimate activities in America, they do control some activities in many areas. They've invested in countless businesses, and they're not operating those businesses legally. They continue to invest, and they continue to monopolize through force.
Now let's examine how these organizations actually function. The structure is far more sophisticated than most people realize. At the very top sits a governing body known as the Commission. Think of it as a combination of a board of directors, a legislature, a Supreme Court, and an arbitration board. The Commission serves as the ultimate authority on organizational disputes. It's composed of the rulers of the most powerful criminal families located in major cities across the country. Below the Commission are the individual families. Each family is led by a boss. The boss is primarily responsible for maintaining order while maximizing profits. Subject only to being overruled by the Commission, the boss's authority within his family is absolute. He is the final arbitrator in all matters relating to his organization. Beneath each boss is an underboss. This position is essentially that of vice president and deputy director. The underboss collects information for the boss, relays messages,
and passes orders down through the hierarchy. He acts as boss when the leader is absent. At the same level as the underboss is the counselor, known as Consigliere. This person serves as a staff officer rather than a line officer. He's typically an elder member who gives advice to family members, including the boss and underboss. This position carries considerable influence and power. Another crucial position is the buffer. The top members of the family, particularly the boss, avoid direct communication with lower-level personnel. They need to be insulated from the police. All commands, information, money, and complaints flow through the buffer. This trusted go-between ensures the leaders remain protected. Moving down the hierarchy, we find lieutenants or captains. Each lieutenant serves as chief of an operating unit. The number of such leaders varies based on the size of the organization and its specialized activities. Lieutenants usually have 1 or 2 associates working closely with them. These associates serve as messengers and additional buffers. They carry orders, information, and money back and forth. At the bottom of the formal structure are the soldiers, also called button men or members. About 5 soldiers report to each lieutenant or section chief. The number of soldiers in a family varies dramatically. Some families have as many as 250 members, while others have as few as 20. Family membership ends at the soldier level.
Every organization needs rules, and criminal syndicates are no exception. In fact, their code of conduct is remarkably similar to codes found in other controlled environments. There's a striking similarity between the code of conduct in criminal organizations and the code governing prisoner behavior. This isn't coincidental. Both exist outside mainstream society, and both develop rules to maintain internal order. Let me break down the 5 key principles of this criminal code. First, be loyal to members of the organization. Do not interfere with each other's interests. Never be an informer. This directive is fundamental to their operations. It's a call for unity, for peace, for maintaining the status quo, and above all, for silence. The need for secrecy is obvious. Any breach of this loyalty can result in death. Second, be rational. Be a member of the team. Don't engage in battles you can't win. They demand corporate rationality to conduct illegal businesses quietly, safely, and profitably. This extends to personal life as well. Members are expected to stay cool and calm at all times. They shouldn't use narcotics or get drunk on duty. They shouldn't get into unnecessary fights. They shouldn't commit crimes without checking with superiors first. Third, be a man of honor. Respect your elders. Don't rock the boat. This emphasis on honor and respect determines everything. Who obeys whom? Who attends what funerals and weddings? Who opens doors for whom? Who shows deference in conversation? Fourth, be a stand-up guy. Keep your eyes and ears open and your mouth shut. Don't sell out. A member must withstand frustrating situations without complaining. The stand-up guy shows courage and heart. He doesn't whine in the face of adversity, including punishment. If you can't pay, don't play. And finally, have class. Be independent. Know your way around the world. This prohibits giving prestige to law enforcement or respectable citizens. To be straight is to be a victim. A man committed to regular work and submission to authority is considered a sucker. When one member wants to insult another, he might say, "Why don't you go out and get a job?" This reveals their worldview. They see a world of graft, fraud, and corruption. They're concerned with their own honesty,
compared to the hypocrisy they perceive in corrupt officials.
Now, let's examine what these organizations actually do. Their activities extend far beyond simple criminal enterprise. Consider the division of labor in a typical gambling operation. In the lottery business alone, there can be over 100 positions involved. At street level, you have pickup men divided into groups. Each group reports to a substation supervisor. After bet slips are collected at the substation, trusted employees serve as messengers. They transport the slips to the main office. The main office has its own workers handling tabulation and bookkeeping. Someone determines which slips are winners. Another trusted person takes the proceeds to the section chief. The money then flows upward through the entire hierarchy. Off-track betting operations function similarly. A bookie working on commission accepts bets and phones them to a supervisor. Some bookies employ telephone operators and runners to collect bets and pay winners. But here's where it gets sophisticated. The bookie needs to insure himself against loss. This requires what's called a layoff system. The bookie doesn't actually gamble. He pays the same odds as the track race. But because his customers don't bet in the same proportions as track bettors, his books can become unbalanced. To fix this, he bets with a layoff man. When multiple bookies use the same layoff man, that person's books can become unbalanced too. So there's a third level, the large layoff man. These operators reside across the country, keeping in close communication. They balance their books with each other until everything aligns with actual track betting. When this system works perfectly, nobody at the top can lose. They simply split the house percentage. One large layoff man might handle $20 million annually. His profit before expenses runs about 4% of gross. That's $800,000 per year from one operation. If the system threatens to become unbalanced just before a race, they employ a comeback man. This person stands at the track race. On instruction, he bets large amounts on specific horses. This changes the track odds to match what the layoff man need. The comeback money system is a principal device used to control all significant gambling in America.
Perhaps the most insidious aspect of organized crime is its corruption of legitimate institutions. These organizations seek out every opportunity to corrupt anyone in government who might be useful. The importance of corruption cannot be overstated. It's the grease that keeps their machinery running. Consider how deeply this penetrates. Law enforcement officers on the take, political figures offering protection, judges influenced in their decisions, government officials awarding contracts. The corruption extends from minor city officials all the way up. They've gone beyond simply buying licenses to gamble from police. Now they're concerned with influencing legislation on matters as diverse as food services and garbage collection. The system works through what researchers call the position of corrupter. Someone in the organization specializes in identifying and cultivating corruptible officials. They build relationships over time. They create obligations. They make offers that seem reasonable at first. Once an official takes that first payment, they're trapped. The criminal organization now owns a piece of them. They can demand more and more. The official can't refuse without exposing their initial corruption. This is how the web expands. Each corrupted official knows others who might be susceptible. The network grows organically. What starts as one police officer looking the other way becomes an entire precinct on the payroll. What starts as one inspector ignoring violations becomes a department that serves criminal interests. But the relationship works both ways. There's also the position of corruptee. These are officials who actively seek out criminal connections for personal profit. They approach the organization offering their services. They're often more dangerous than those who are gradually corrupted. They have no loyalty. They'll sell to the highest bidder. They'll betray anyone when convenient. The symbiosis between corrupter and corruptee creates a system that feeds on itself. Legitimate institutions become hollowed out. Public trust erodes. The line between legal and illegal blurs until it becomes meaningless. This is what researchers mean when they say crime has become an instrument of state policy in some regions. The criminals don't just evade the government, they become part of it. They don't just break laws, they write them.
We've discussed so far focused primarily on traditional organized crime. But this phenomenon is truly global, and it's evolved dramatically in recent decades. International organized crime represents one of the most serious threats facing the global economy today. Consider how these organizations have adapted. They've formed short-term criminal alliances across borders. They've diversified their products far beyond traditional rackets. They've embraced technology. They've gone digital. The transnational nature of new criminal enterprises poses unprecedented challenges. Different countries, different laws, different enforcement agencies. Criminals exploit every gap in international cooperation. They move money through dozens of countries in minutes. They communicate through encrypted channels that law enforcement struggles to penetrate. The level of violence used by some organizations to maximize profits has escalated dramatically. We're not talking about traditional mafia methods anymore. Some groups employ levels of brutality that shock even hardened investigators. No country is safe from this influence. Consider that while legitimate governments struggle to function, criminal enterprises flourish. They put well-oiled networks in place while official structures crumble. Organized crime has penetrated all Asia, all South America, all emerging nations of Europe and Africa. Each region has developed its own version of criminality. When criminals band together for mutual benefit across these regions, the phenomenon becomes truly global. Asian criminal organizations have forged alliances with American and European crime groups. They use immigrant enclaves for recruitment and facilitation. They pose economic threats as dangerous as any traditional organized crime group. Emerging criminal markets include human trafficking, illegal adoption networks, and trade in human organs. When ships carrying illegal immigrants run aground, their human cargo wasn't destined for legitimate employment. The song remains the same across all organized crime. Only the lyrics differ. Different groups have different methods and traditions, but the underlying business model is remarkably consistent. They identify demand for prohibited goods and services. They create supply chains. They protect those chains through corruption and violence. They maximize profit while minimizing risk. This formula works everywhere, in every culture, under every political system.
So, what have we learned from this deep dive into organized crime? First, these aren't just criminals. They're sophisticated organizations with clear hierarchies, codes of conduct, and business strategies that rival legitimate corporations. Second, their power comes not just from illegal activities, but from their penetration of legitimate institutions. corruption is their most powerful weapon. Third, this phenomenon isn't limited to any single country or ethnic group. Wherever people exist, organized crime exists. It adapts to local conditions while maintaining consistent business principles. Fourth, the challenge of fighting organized crime is immense. We're not fighting individuals, we're fighting systems. Systems that have evolved over decades or even centuries. Systems that corrupt the very agencies meant to combat them. But here's what matters most. Understanding this phenomenon is the first step toward addressing it. The more we know about how these organizations function, the better equipped we become to recognize their influence in our own communities. The more we understand their methods, the harder we make it for them to operate in the shadows. Knowledge truly is power when confronting organized crime. This video only scratched the surface. There's so much more to explore. The Russian criminal networks that emerged after the Soviet collapse, the Asian triads that have operated for centuries, the Colombian cartels that transformed the drug trade, the emerging African criminal organizations. If you found this valuable, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We're building a community of informed viewers who refuse to accept ignorance as an excuse. Future videos will explore specific organizations in depth. We'll examine case studies. We'll follow the money. We'll understand the psychology. We'll learn from those who've spent their careers fighting this phenomenon. The more you know, the harder it becomes for criminals to operate with impunity. Thank you for watching. Stay curious, stay informed, and remember, the first step to solving any problem is understanding it. Till next time.